Today on Crazed Performance Repair, we are going to finish this car up. We're going to get this thing running and down the road. So stay tuned so we can go for a test drive. If you have not tuned in yet, there is the previous 2 episodes up there in the corner for you guys to watch. So be sure to check those out if you haven't seen those yet. But with that, we're going to go ahead and get started on this video. So where I am, the cooling system was leaking. And since the cooling system was leaking, I had this thing under pressure all weekend. Now this is Monday morning. I came in Saturday, there was nothing on the ground. Then Sunday, I came in here, and as I'm walking by the car, there's a huge puddle under the car. So I'm like, ooh, it's leaking. So I quick grabbed my flashlight, started taking a look around, trying to find the leak, and I found the leak. Now there is a hose clamp right down here, and this hose clamp was not quite tight enough. So I'd imagine the clamp had seated down into the hose since the last time I worked on it, and therefore the clamp appeared loosened up. Obviously it didn't unscrew itself. So I tightened that up, and hopefully now the leak will be taken care of, because that's the only thing that was leaking as far as I could see, and it was a pretty substantial leak and an intermittent leak at that. So I took care of that. But we have another dilemma to take care of. This guy wants a line lock installed in the car. So right here is the actual line lock mechanism itself, and basically what this is a solenoid that stops the flow of fluid. We're going to be using it for brake fluid, obviously, to lock up the brakes. What we want to do is we want to go to the master cylinder and take these fittings here. Now you can see they're both, one's a flare and one's like a countersunk taper thing. It's the opposite end of what would be a bubble flare. So I don't know if this has a bubble flare in it or not, but hopefully this is going to just be a direct bolt in. We'll have to wait and see. Now this bracket here, it has these 2 holes. Those go for where the master cylinder bolts up. So I'm going to have to take the nuts off of the master cylinder for where they bolt the master to the booster. Once I have those bolts or nuts backed off, I can put this on there, put the regulator bracket back on there. This will sit below it in theory. I don't know how well it'll fit. And then I can run these lines up, and this electrical connector will have to be ran inside the car. Now it looks like whoever did this before was utilizing the ground through the master cylinder. I don't know if that's the best idea, but I suppose if it works, it works. I'm not sure what they have here though, if that's a diode or what. I'll have to do a little bit of testing quick before I officially install it. So I'm going to go ahead, get these nuts off of here, get that into place. Okay, so I was trying to figure out how to get that line lock to adapt, and nothing locally is available for the line lock for adapter fitting to adapt to the factory line. And because of that, I'm just going to go ahead, I put it back together, but I'm going to leave the line lock down there. That way I can add to it later or replace it, whatever, you know, figure out the line situation later, and I'll get the wire ran into the vehicle. That way it's all ready and good to go for when the time comes to actually hook it up. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and assemble things. That way the vehicle can be driven again, and yeah, I guess we'll just go from there. Alright, so part of this job is going to be upgrading the alternator. Here's the old alternator. This is a stock alternator, just painted up, and that's basically it. So you're going to open this guy up. This is a upgraded should be a half billet alternator if you order the same one as the last guy had ordered one. Let's take a look and see what we have in the box here. Oh yeah, nice and pretty. So we have this half of the shell is a billet case, and then the other half here, it looks like it's actually a custom made case half, because it does not look the same as the one I pulled out at all. So it must be a custom cast part. And then this is a 240 amp alternator now, so big time upgrade. I'm going to go ahead and get this thing installed. Now we do have to add a larger cable, so I'll have to see what I have for cabling. We should definitely probably put a bigger cable in here, so let's see what we come up with. Alright, so you guys wanted me to do more lathe, show what I use the lathe for. Well, I found a use for the lathe. I was trying to put that alternator in, and the alternator is a little bit wider, so it requires the adjustment deal that's built into it to actually sit further back. Well, this has a shoulder here, and the shoulder is not allowing it to sit further back. So that's what you're watching me do right now, is I'm actually machining this to be a deeper indent inside this shoulder area so that it'll actually work with the alternator I'm putting in. So kind of interesting, but I need to protect the paint on this, so you can see I'm already machining it, but the way I'm going to protect the paint on here is just wrap a little bit of this stuff around it, and then I'll chuck it up in the lathe. Okay, so you can see I have it cut down now. You can see where the white paint is there, and then where the shiny starts. That's how far I cut it down. So I don't know, it's a little more than 1/8 of an inch, and that should be plenty, I would think. It should be enough, so I can go ahead and peel this guy off now and try putting this back in, and hopefully it'll work. Not quite enough. All right, I'll be right back. Well, you guys are back, and it didn't work out near as planned, I guess. So what I have is, if I put this guy up here, this terminal is in a different location than before, and you can see this fitting here. This is just a block off, a close off fitting, and the only reason it's there is because this valve cover had a hole in it there for like a fill tube or whatever. That side's used as a PCV, or you know, for the Mighty Mouse catch can that's over on the other side. But this thing stuck out quite a ways, and so I turned it thinking I could gain enough, but the reality of it is it's still too close to where there's too much of an arc potential there. Even if I could get a nut on there, I'm not even going to bother with that. It's too close. I have to do something else to block this hole off. So I am going to go ahead and remove this valve cover. And since I want to keep this video short, I'm going to go ahead and skip out on me doing this. But what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the valve cover off, take this thing off, take the fitting off on underneath here, and I'll end up creating a special, basically nut and bolt kind of a scenario that'll squish and create a plug for that. Or maybe I'll machine a small wafer that I can push into the hole that's in that valve cover and just be done with it. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do, and you guys will be right back to see the end result after I get the valve cover off and get everything taken care of. Well, that certainly took way more than I expected or anticipated. So I had to not only make this little plug to go in here to replace that big dong that was sticking up here, it even came close to this bolt coming through here. So I really wish they would have indexed that better. Maybe put it over here. That would have been a lot better. I also had to upgrade the wiring. So you can see I have 3 rather large wires going in here. Now, 2 of them are 6 gauge, and 1 is the original. The original one goes to the battery box, I believe. And then the other one, I also added a second one to the battery box because, or battery fuse panel, you know, the fuse box that's over on the other side. And the reason I added that to the fuse panel is because this alternator puts out a lot more current, and the main battery cable on this particular car coming from the rear goes to that fuse box. So I'm basically going directly to the battery and accessories. Therefore, it'll allow it to draw current from the most optimum position without having to run a whole nother cable all the way to the back of the car. So that's why I chose to do that. Now the third one here, I added as a auxiliary, and there's a couple of fuses down here. Now those fuses go to the fuel pumps, and they were originally tied into the main terminal, and so they had the factory terminal on there, and then they had the fuel pump terminal on there, and they came to the back of the alternator over here. And the reason I had to tie those in up here is because they weren't long enough to reach that, and I didn't feel like just rewiring and tying in, so I just tied it into the same main terminal here. That way it's all in one main terminal. It's not multiple terminals on the same stud. So that's kind of a nice little deal there. I'm going to give you guys a look at this little piece that I machined and put in here, and I was able to press it in. So it can be pressed out later on, but what I did is I put a little RTV around it, and then I pressed it into place. And so as I pressed that into place, it sealed up, and there's RTV around the outside here, and it looks real nice and clean, and the way it should. So now it's not sitting up over here where it's kind of ugly, but I still have to go ahead and get the belt on here, and then attach a few other little piddly things. And the last thing I'm going to be doing under the hood here is putting these wires down inside the car, and that way, this is for the brake, you know, the lockup for the brake, which is not currently hooked up, and then this is going to be for the 2-step that I've added to the car, which is right here and can be adjusted right here. Alright, one of the other tasks that I have to do on this car is, you can see this little T section here. This is a plastic T fitting, and it's a special fitting with 2 different size deals on it. There's some larger barbs and then smaller barbs. Well, that plastic T fitting is going to be replaced with this metal T fitting to try and eliminate any potential problems. So I'm going to go ahead and do that real quick. Looks like I have to cut a couple clamps here. But if you ever get in these situations, invest in a set of these. This is a Blue Point version, but they make all kinds of different brands. Perhaps I'll see if I can link them in the description for a different brand. But basically what these are is they're for clamping down hose clamps, and you can take and just clamp down on it and it'll hold wherever you clamp it down on. Yes, that looks like it hurts, but it doesn't actually hurt. So, and then when you want to release it, you just pull it apart and you're done. So I'm going to go ahead, clamp this hose down over here, and I already have one on the other side holding the hose over there. This hose here goes to the reservoir, so I'm not worried about it. Okay, so as you can see, I have two hose clamps here that are a little bit on the tight side, but I had to do that because apparently the larger end is not quite as big as I would like it to be. I'd like it to be a little bit tighter inside the hose. This one here actually fits really nice. I put it on without the hose clamp and tried pulling on it and it won't come off, so I know the barbs are grabbing pretty good, so I just went ahead and threw the clamp on there, the original spring clamp, and these two I'm going to have to use these screw type clamps and just leave it as is, I guess. So that's what those are going to be like, and of course I always index the clamps. It just drives me crazy when things are not quite perfect. I don't know, one of my OCD things. So anyway, I gotta go ahead and rinse off this antifreeze, and then we'll get on to the next task. Alright, I got the car all put back together. I kind of skipped out on a bunch of camera stuff, but it is what it is. So I got it together. I'm gonna be going on a test drive. I already took it on one test drive. I forgot to bring the camera with. Not the big deal. I'm gonna go ahead and go on a test drive with the camera this time and show you guys what I found on the test drive. It's kind of disturbing and unfortunate, but it is what it is, and I'm probably not going to even pin it on this test drive just because I need to do something first. Alright, so we're cruising down the highway right now. I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of a pull because I got to figure out what's going on with this thing, but I think the transmission's going out. Alright, stop. This clip is ridiculously horrible. My apologies for how bad it sounds. This camera does not pick up good audio in the car, and I knew better. I should have used my cell phone, but I'll be getting a new camera later. Anyway, point is, unfortunately, I'm going to have to let you guys hear this horrible audio from here on out on just a little bit of the clip, because there's a very important part of the video coming up next for what happened with the car's scenario on how it was working or not working or whatever you want to say it. So bear with me on the horrible audio. I sound like I'm on helium, but whatever. So I'm going to go ahead, let it continue, and then I will chime in one more time here, and we'll get you some finishing clips of how the car actually should drive. So I'm going to give it a little bit here, go a little bit slower, shift down, and then we'll do third. Alright, so we're going to do a low third. We'll do 40. There's 40. Go to the scale. So I'm not sure what that was all about. Maybe I'll do another. Come on. Boy, it does not like third at all. What is going on? There it goes. That synchro's going out. Right at 45, it felt weird. So I'm not sure what is going on with this thing. Okay, so as you see, obviously we have a third gear synchro that is going to hell. The reverse synchro is completely gone. That you did not see, but that's another thing that was going on with this car. And on top of that, it just felt like it was chugging, like it was working harder than the car was moving. And that was before the 4,500 RPM. Now, the reason it's doing that is the transmission has a lot of binding going on. The transmission is gone. It's done for. So the next episode, we're going to be doing some transmission work, most likely, as long as I can get to all the editing that I have. I'm so backburnered on editing. Anyway, we're going to get that editing done, and I'm going to give you guys one more clip here of a side-by-side split screen of the speedo of what the car should, or what the car was doing, which is the video clip that you guys just saw, and then I'll give you guys a clip of a lot longer in the future from this video's creation of what the car finalizes and does later on in the video. So we'll give you those two screenshots or video clips, and then we'll wrap this video up. Alright, I'm glad you guys got to see that. So next video coming up is going to be some differential rear end, differential transmission type work going on. And once that video is out, I'll go ahead and throw it in one of these boxes that pops up somewhere around me. And then I'll throw that along with the recommended video. So thanks for watching, and I hope to see you in the next video.